I was home alone, and I wasn't supposed to be, because someone else was already inside my house. When I was a kid, my family lived in a large 2-story house that looked normal from the street, but inside, it always felt like the quiet lasted too long. On the first floor, toward the back, there was a room no one used. We called it the spare living room. It held an old couch with sagging cushions, a recliner that squeaked, and a small table that collected dust and forgotten mail. We walked past it every day. We never sat in there. One morning I woke up sick. Fever, weak legs, a sore throat that made even swallowing hurt. I remember the house sounds more than anything. The distant hum of the fridge, the soft click of the heater, the way the floorboards complained if you stepped in the wrong place. When the house was full, kids talking, doors shutting, the TV on, those noises disappeared. When the house was empty, every little sound felt like it had meaning. That morning, being sick, everything felt slightly unreal already, like I was moving through fog. My mom took one look at me and told me to stay home. My siblings left for school, my parents left for work, and the house settled into that empty daytime stillness. I remember thinking it might be nice to be alone for once. For a few hours, I slept on and off. Late in the morning, my stomach growled, and I decided to go downstairs for something to eat. That's when I heard it. Footsteps below me. While I was listening to the footsteps, I kept trying to map them in my head. Kitchen, hallway, maybe the living room. The steps didn't sound rushed, and that was almost worse. If someone was running, you could tell yourself they were late or in a hurry. These steps sounded patient, slow, steady, like someone walking normally through the first floor. My first thought was simple. Mom came home early. She did that sometimes. The idea was comforting enough that I didn't question it. I got up, stepped into the hallway, and listened again. More steps. Not rushing, not sneaking, just moving. I went down the stairs and headed toward the kitchen. Everything looked normal. Too normal. Then I reached the doorway and stopped so suddenly my chest tightened. A man stood inside my house. He was tall, at least 6 feet, wearing dirty, ripped clothes that hung stiffly on him. His hair was messy. His face was blank, not angry, not scared, just empty. He wasn't holding anything. He wasn't moving. He was standing like he belonged there. He looked straight at me. My body froze. I couldn't scream. I couldn't even take a step back. I kept waiting for him to do something, but he didn't. He simply watched me like he was studying my face, memorizing it. Then my survival instinct finally kicked in. I turned and ran. I sprinted upstairs, slammed my bedroom door, locked it, and dragged a heavy dresser in front of it. When I ran upstairs, I didn't even grab anything. No shoes, no jacket, just pure panic. I locked the door, then checked it twice like that would make it stronger. I pushed on the dresser until my arms burned. Then I stood back, breathing hard, feeling ridiculous and terrified at the same time. The scraping sound felt painfully loud. My hands shook so badly I almost dropped my phone. I didn't call the police first. I called my mom because my brain was still trying to find the nearest safe person in the world. When she answered, I screamed that someone was in the house, that there was a man downstairs. My mom's voice snapped into focus. She told me not to leave my room and to call the police immediately. Then she said she was coming home. I hung up and called 911. After I gave our address, the operator told me to stay put. The worst part while I waited for police was the uncertainty. Was he still downstairs? Was he on the stairs already? Did he hear me dragging the dresser? I kept imagining the doorknob turning slowly, calmly, like the man in the kitchen had all the time in the world. Every second stretched and snapped back again. When the call ended, the silence came back, heavier than before. I pressed my ear to the door, listening for footsteps on the stairs, for a doorknob turning, for anything. Every creak of the house made my stomach drop. Finally, I saw police cars pull into the driveway. I watched officers enter the house. Only then did I shove the dresser away and run downstairs toward them. I told them what I saw. They searched the house quickly, rooms, closets, doors, windows. They found nothing. No intruder, no broken locks, no obvious way in or out. One officer asked if I could have imagined it because I was sick. I hated that question, but a small part of me felt sick all over again because how else could it make sense? My parents came home shortly after. My mom was pale and shaking. My dad kept asking how this could happen. The officers did another pass through the house. Still nothing. They were about to leave when one of them walked into the spare living room and stopped. He crouched beside the couch and noticed a plastic shopping bag sticking out from underneath it. It shouldn't have been there. Nobody used that room. Nobody left things there. They lifted the couch. Under it were trash bags, old food, water bottles, wipes, signs that someone had been staying there. And mixed in were a couple small personal items that had gone missing and we assumed were lost somewhere in the house. Someone had been living under our couch for weeks. That explained the man in the kitchen, the calmness, the fact that he didn't seem surprised to see me. He wasn't breaking in at that moment. He was already there. He'd been listening, learning our routine, waiting for the house to empty out. The police took photos and asked questions, but the man was gone. Just gone. After they found the mess under the couch, my parents walked the house with flashlights, even though it was daylight. They checked the attic, the crawl spaces, the garage, every corner that could hide a person. For days, my mom kept the curtains open, like light could protect us. My dad replaced locks, added a chain, fixed a window that didn't close all the way. None of it made me feel better. The feeling that someone had been inside our normal life, watching it, stuck to me. After they left, my parents threw the couch out the same day and emptied the entire room. They replaced the furniture with hard wooden chairs like they were trying to erase the possibility of hiding. That's the thing about a home invasion you never see coming. I also started paying attention to how people disappear. Not in a dramatic way. Just the practical reality that someone can move through a familiar space and stay unseen if you don't expect them. A shadow behind a door. A body tucked under furniture. A moment when you assume a sound is normal. The idea bothered me more than the man's face did, because it meant the problem wasn't just one stranger. The problem was how easy it could happen again. It doesn't just scare you once. It teaches your brain a new habit. After that, I started noticing patterns. Which doors were always locked? Which ones weren't? Which rooms we never went into? I hated that the spare living room had been ignored. I hated that we'd basically handed someone a hiding place without even realizing it. The house looked safer, but it never felt the same. For months after that first incident, I had this strange ritual. Before I went to bed, I'd do a slow lap through the house, pretending I was just turning lights off. In reality, I was checking corners, listening for anything that didn't belong, making sure every door latched the way it should. I'd stare at the spare living room doorway a second too long, like the room might stare back. My parents thought it would fade with time. It didn't fade. It just got quieter, like a scar you stop touching but never forget is there. For a long time, I couldn't sleep without locking my door. I started noticing every sound, pipes, settling wood, the refrigerator clicking on, because anything could be footsteps if you let your mind run wild. Years later, as a teenager, I had another night alone. Different house, different dog, same feeling creeping back into my throat. On the weekend with Bruno, I kept replaying the earlier incident in my mind, telling myself it was a one-time freak event. I told myself we'd been unlucky. I told myself the world wasn't actually that dangerous. But the second Bruno's bark tore through the house, all that reassurance evaporated. My body reacted before my thoughts did. Cold sweat, racing pulse, that sharp focus that feels like the air has turned to glass. My parents were away overnight. My brother worked nights. I had the place to myself, and I tried to treat it like a normal weekend. I ordered takeout, played games, and fell asleep on the couch with our old dog Bruno curled beside me. Bruno was gentle and quiet. He almost never barked. Around 1 in the morning, I heard a loud bang from the back of the house. I ignored it at first. Then Bruno lifted his head. Another bang, louder. Bruno jumped off the couch and ran toward the basement door, barking and growling in a way I had never heard from him. The sound didn't even seem like it could come from that lazy dog. That's when I realized the banging wasn't random noise. It was consistent, deliberate. Someone was hitting something over and over. We had an old basement door that led out to a back alley. It was rusted and stiff, rarely used. If someone was trying to force it, that meant they were close. Too close. Standing on those basement stairs, I remember noticing tiny details. The dim bulb at the bottom that flickered when the washing machine kicked on. The smell of detergent. The way Bruno's nails tapped the floor as he shifted his weight. The house felt huge and empty, and the basement felt like the mouth of something dark. I kept thinking, if the door gives, there's nowhere to run fast enough. I grabbed a heavy wooden bat from my room and crept down the stairs. Bruno stood in front of the door like he was daring the person outside to try again. The banging continued, then suddenly stopped. Through Bruno's barking, I heard a man's voice on the other side, a quick, angry whisper, like he hadn't expected a problem. Then silence. I didn't open the door. I stayed on the stairs with the bat for the rest of the night, listening. In the morning, when my brother showed me the cracked frame, I felt sick with a different kind of fear. Not the sudden shock of seeing a stranger, but the slow horror of realizing how close you were to an outcome you don't even want to imagine. The door hadn't protected me. Bruno had. In the morning, my brother checked the basement door and pulled on it. The entire thing shifted wrong, then fell inward. The frame was cracked. One more shove and it would have given. If Bruno hadn't sounded ready to fight, I don't think the person outside would have stopped. And then there was the third night. The one I can't explain away as a burglar because I never saw anyone at all. A thunderstorm rolled in late, and because we lived in an area known for bad weather, I slept downstairs. The storm night was quieter in a strange way. Thunder filled the gaps between sounds, and rain softened everything. That's why the bass stood out so much. It was too clean, too familiar. It felt like a signal, like a tap on the shoulder. When the driveway was empty, I laughed under my breath, trying to prove to myself I wasn't scared. But the bass continued, and the laughter died immediately. I was scrolling on my phone when I heard the low bass of my dad's car pulling into the driveway. It was distinctive, the kind you could recognize instantly. I felt relieved and went to the window. The driveway was empty. No car, no headlights, nothing. I told myself it was a car passing on the highway, that storms carry sound. I went back to bed. But then I realized the bass didn't fade. It stayed, like the car was still outside, even though there was nothing there. A few minutes later, I heard a cough from the garage. My dad's cough. After the cough in the garage, I remember holding my breath so long my chest hurt. Part of me wanted to call out, to end the uncertainty, to force the world back into something normal. But another part of me, older than I was, knew better. The voice that said my name wasn't loud or threatening. It was gentle, almost caring. And that made it worse, because it felt designed to make me move. That scared me, because I never heard the garage door open. Then, softly, from inside the house, someone called my name. I waited for our dog to react. He didn't. He looked at me like he didn't hear anything at all. I didn't answer. I didn't move. I lay there, staring at the doorway, until I eventually fell asleep. Hours later, I woke up and saw my dad's car in the driveway for real. I ran upstairs and told him what happened. He stared at me, then told me he hadn't been home earlier. He arrived close to dawn. The next day, I tried to recreate the timeline. When did I hear the bass? How long did it last? Did I hear footsteps at all? My dad didn't find anything unusual. No open doors, no broken windows, no signs anyone had been inside. That should have made me feel better, but it didn't. It just meant I couldn't point to a simple cause, and my mind hates empty answers. I wanted a clean explanation, a passing car, a storm tricking my ears, my imagination. But I know what I heard. My name was called, carefully, gently, like whoever said it didn't want to scare me. It wanted me to come closer. Even now, I still listen for footsteps when I'm alone. I still glance at rooms nobody uses, because I learned something the hard way. Sometimes home alone is just a story you tell yourself. Sometimes the danger isn't outside at all. Sometimes it's already inside, waiting for the moment you finally believe you're alone. And when I tell these stories, people always want a simple moral. Lock your doors, get a camera, teach your dog to bark. Those are fine ideas, but they miss the point. The point is the feeling. The moment when your own home stops feeling like yours, even for a second. That feeling doesn't care about logic. It sits in the back of your mind and waits for a quiet morning, a late-night bang, a storm outside, and it wakes up all over again. Sometimes I catch myself doing it without thinking, listening. Not for a specific sound, but for the absence of sound, for that unnatural stillness that feels staged. And every time I hear a floorboard creak in an empty house, I remember the man in the kitchen who didn't blink, the basement door that almost gave way, and the voice in the storm that sounded like someone I trusted. I don't know what all of it means. I only know how it feels. And that's why I never say, I'm alone, anymore. I say, I think I'm alone. Because after what happened, certainty is the scariest lie a house can tell.